Yeah, so that sucked, didn't it? Falling off your bike's not unique. You're going to do it. You're going to land here. I landed just here. So the more I talked to people, that everyone's experience of this moment, this moment just as you've fallen off is very different. What they did, the procedure, did they call an ambulance? Didn't they call an ambulance? What did they check? What details did they get? There is definitely no set procedure or guidelines or anything like that, what you should try to be doing in this moment. And just hit the deck. So what I thought we'd do is come back to this moment, the crash moment, and kind of see if there's anything we could do. Are there any procedures we could follow to try and make this whole thing a little bit easier? I think there's three kind of main aspects I want to cover literally just in this moment that you've fallen off. The first one really is, should you call an ambulance? The second one, which we'll get to, is what details to get of the whole situation, what evidence to gather. And the third one, and sadly, probably the first one you're going to think about, I'm going to make a bit of an admission right off the bat. And I reckon this is probably true for a lot of people. You come off there, right there. The first thing that I could think about at that moment in time was, can I ride home? Not, have I broken anything? Am I still alive? It's, can I ride home? Bugger. Before you even worry about any of that stuff, obviously take your time. But beyond that, two really important things. Take your helmet off and have a look at it. Have a good look at your helmet. If there is any damage on that helmet, you're not riding home, full stop. The other kind of thing to think about is, of the crash, what do you remember? You can kind of see where I'm going with this. Whilst, yeah, some bumps and bruises and stuff, you can probably get yourself home stupidly. It's the head injury stuff that you're probably, you're not thinking about really. Well, at least I wasn't anyway. Okay, let's say that's all intact. Go ahead and have a look at your bike. 9 times out of 10, I bet your handlebars are going to be knocked to the side, okay? Don't do the classic whack, whack, whack to try and put them back in position. Seen so many steerotudes snapped that way. Take an Allen key out, put it back in place. The other thing to check for sure, rear seat stays and chain stays. They are the spots which are notorious for snapping.
Oh, we've got the second side, so that's okay. Yeah, we've got you there.
Let's talk about the ambulance then. You're not riding home. Pros and cons of the whole thing. Seemingly the opinion is, if you've got any of the head type injuries, it's just a no-brainer. You're calling an ambulance, full stop. Neck soreness, no-brainer, calling an ambulance. I would very much always lean towards going down that route. The ambulance will cost you money. Now, my bill was about $400 each trip. Wasn't covered by Medicare. It was covered by private health insurance. It does create more of a kerfuffle, and yeah, look, that definitely played into my mind at the time. I didn't want to do that, didn't, alarm people, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, if you can get things working a little bit smoother at this end, maybe you're better off. Obviously, this is very much circumstance by circumstance, but seemingly the consensus seems to be that if there's anything in this area that's not right, 000, full stop. Now, if one of these are involved, it's really, really important at that scene to try and get the rego number, the driver's name, contact details, and their license. It's especially important if a car's involved to get witnesses' details, so their contact details, their names, because this stuff is going to be useful later on. The key point to any of this is just try and collect as much info as you can, or get your friends to collect as much info as possible here, right here, because the moment you leave this place, it starts to get a whole lot more challenging. And on the subject of information, any incident really that involves an injury should be recorded in your own words. Ideally there, at the scene, but if not, as quickly as possible. What kind of information? Well, the date and time of the incident, a description of the incident, what the hell happened, and a list of witnesses. The sooner you get that info down, the better, because you will be asked at some stage in an official capacity to describe the incident. Get it down on paper. Any incident that requires medical attention, doctors, visit to the hospital, really has to be reported to these guys. Especially, and this is really important, especially if it involves another party, like a motorist, a cyclist, pedestrian. And as far as the info from these guys, the really key part is this police incident number. That's your tracking number. We've all been in that position or heard of it before, that, you know, someone doesn't get this, but then 2-3 weeks later down the track, oh, hang on, I've got a sore hip. Oh, my shoulder's a bit sore. Well, if you're trying to then go back and create an incident that had occurred quite a while ago, it's not as easy. Just get that police incident recorded. From my own personal experience, what happened is, because the ambulance was called and the police turned up as well, I was actually shafted off in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and my mate Deeks looked after that for me. He got the police incident number, he got the constable's name, and that sort of thing started to flow on, and I was called the next day. So the procedure had started. So again, this comes back to maybe someone taking that responsibility straight off. So look, I think there's no doubt there's definitely quite a few things we could have done right and wrong here in this particular situation, but okay, what about before this moment? Is there anything that we could have done to maybe make this experience, well, not this experience, this is going to suck anyway, but the recovery a little bit better? So what about before this moment? This is not legal advice. Just like the bit before was not medical advice. It's really, really important to note the membership to either a Bicycling New South Wales or a Cycling New South Wales club is really important. After your incident, it is really important to notify your club of that so they can then start that procedure through Cycling Australia. Cycling Australia do an amazing job with like a $10 million public liability cover, which basically helps you if you hurt someone else. Oh, Jesus! But in terms of your income protection, now I think I'm right in saying, is about $500 a week, but it runs out after a year. Personal insurance companies don't cover you if you race a bike. And not only if you don't race a bike, but even if you do mass participation events. So things like Three Peaks and stuff like that are regarded as races in the insurance world. Yeah, and so this income protection space, this is where KOM operates, and I'm not going to go into the details of their products. I'll put the links below. Basically because I don't want to turn this into an ad. By the way, Catherine, would you mind passing me that deliciously smooth chocolate oak? Marvellous. Suffice to say, their coverage does go above and beyond the Cycling Australia thing, but links below, do what you want. Moving on. Yeah, like the insurance thing, as you can tell at this stage, it's just an absolute minefield. Incredible little diagram that a guy called Alan Corven's put together for us. He's part of the Central Coast Bicycle Users Group, which is another resource I didn't really talk about. But what he's done is he's put together this chart, I suppose, that actually accurately describes the path you take from the moment of the incident, who's involved, and what route you should take insurance-wise. Who pays is what he's called it. That. Put it down below, but it really is interesting. It sets out the path, like of what you need to follow and who you should be contacting with this kind of stuff. Thank you. Oh, Kiri.
I can clean it.
You can clean it. Guys, I really hope we got something out of that. I researched this. Believe it or not, this is the first vlog I've actually spent some time. Just get up in the morning and go, oh, I'll do a vlog today. I actually researched this. I really want to thank the guys at Bicycling New South Wales. I want to thank the guys at Cycling New South Wales. Also want to thank Alan Corven. He supplied a lot of the information about what details to get. And obviously a big thanks to Dan Corbett for his info regarding the income protection stuff. Look at this. And this, ladies and gentlemen, Look at this. We what a finish, right? This is hilarious. This is the kind of stuff we're up against. So with that, stay safe, guys.